What is good, everybody out there? Thanks again for checking in to another episode of Court Thoughts, the channel where we basically talk basketball. In my most recent videos, I have been focusing a lot on draft prospects or draftees now into the NBA that did not go through the route of the NCAA. And I will focus a little bit more on this at the end of the video in my breakdown. So make sure you stick around to the end to hear all about that. But this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I am going to be reacting to someone who recently did go through the draft that did go through the NCAA route. That man is Chet Holmgren. Now, Chet was drafted second overall in the most recent draft, the 2022 NBA draft by the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it was literally a fact of whether he was going to be first or second. I don't believe ever hearing him there being a slither of a conversation of this man going anything lower than that. And to be honest with you, I was surprised that he didn't go first. This guy is 7 foot tall, playing as a power forward or in a center at least from his days playing with Gonzaga. And he has a very interesting skill set. And I wanted to do a little bit more of a reaction focusing on this man because I don't think that his skill set is like a lot of people out there. Now, the video that we're going to be reacting to is from a new channel to us called The Scouting Report. Now, please make sure that you jump over there and you give him a like and subscribe, give him some love, and I'll leave a link to the video in the description for you to check out for yourself. But let's jump straight into it. Let's check out this video. Okay, guys, let's check out the Scouting Report's video. All right, let's do it.
Johnny Juzang, who we were hoping to see concussion protocol, and DJ
Big body,
down with a sore knee for Utah.
using his hips there, and being able to stay up really tight. Look at that. Really patient.
3-2 early.
Standing high.
Memphis held on to
that was a good shot, I'm not gonna lie.
Defense.
I don't think a lot of people were expecting that.
So one steal leads to the other. Holmgren up top and down.
But he's just so skinny, man. He's so thin. It's going to be really good to see him get a little bit more meat on him to be able to take that contact.
Right there, the big fella.
Oof, but 7 foot. This guy's just going to be a popper. He's just going to pop out. Nice handle. Turnover, though.
It's the finals this year. One of the ingredients that both teams had was just...
Man, him and Giddey is a good partnership.
Is if you're a bigger, slower center, you've got to contend with a guy
good
who can
defense.
Yeah. Smoothly. Like
that's going to be a real big problem.
That three-point shot at a pretty good clip. We know he can put it on the floor and get to the hoop.
Ooh.
When you hit that long, deep shot.
Holmgren battles down low.
Good. He's got handles, bro.
And that's what he does against small.
He's got that handle.
Yeah, Chet Holmgren is competitive. I actually had to talk to him last week and get some good story. I started out doing everything. He always played with older kids, so he wasn't always the tallest when he was younger.
It's a big aspect, especially for you youngins out there. Try and play with older kids if you can. Yay! Hey, yo! Hella confident. But the defender's got to recognize that. Taco, bro. He ain't expecting it. He's probably looking at the scouting report, recognizing that this man's going to do that, but still.
Ball slapped away. 13 straight misses for the Jazz.
Good cross dribble, though.
Holmgren on the court, feeds the ball down inside.
Oof. Man, ain't that frustrating to get someone to pass right under the bucket and they don't do that. This man's taking 4 shots from the same spot. Get your damn hands up, bro.
Right to left. Slides it to fall. Dropped it. Picks it up in a crowd. Turns. Can't finish. They call a jump ball.
Jump ball. Wow. Wow. I thought it was a travel. I ain't going to lie. See that patience, though, and being able to wall up? Woof. Big. And him being 7 foot tall is a big bonus for him. Taco Fall's a big dude, bro.
Drives on Holmgren. Step back.
Good shield.
By Holmgren. That's what he does. Now he runs the floor like a guard.
No look.
Inside and one. The bucket counted. Jalen Williams.
Pick that little skinny boy up, bro. Get that man up off the floor.
He gives it off to Holmgren. Back inside.
Right.
There's the passing skill set.
This is why it's so critical. If you do not have the ball to be an asset, move to the basket, bro.
Oh, great pass right there.
As we close up on 3 minutes left. He tries it again, and the rebound by Holmgren.
Yeah, Jazz needs to be a little bit more patient on the offense. I know the shot clock's running down.
Give up the ball.
But you'd like to
Don't
see
go
at least
coast to
watch this
coast.
foul.
Get to the top.
replay
Stop
right
trying to dribble through. Because look at how many defenders he's coming into contact with. 3. There's 5 players on there. Scared the shit out of myself.
Right here, highlighting Chet again.
Amazing.
Missed that. Hopefully we see a reaction.
Obviously, but he's such an intelligent
Top
player
ball
with the
there.
ball in his hand.
Holmgren, one-on-one against
Rip
Wall.
through.
Takes the ball.
Patience.
Jumper, pulls
Lena.
it. That's incredible.
Put it on him.
Don, you know, you've watched the game. You've watched Dirk
Defender's
Nowitzki
able to
take
stay
the
in
hit
front of him.
and fade back.
Plenty of time.
Good shot.
No need to rush as he drives in on Holmgren. Blocked for the 4th time.
Keeping that cylinder. I mean, he broke it a little bit there, but still able to keep that cylinder super patient. I like that.
Inside Butler, like to have that shot back.
Able to get a hand to it, collect the ball high. Yep, good work.
There's a guard
All right,
steal.
you see that?
Pull the trigger deep. That's a rare miss.
That is not the right shot.
Here's Law, baseline. Takes it.
Yay!
Holmgren. And guess
Not
what?
chased down though.
That was a good take. But Holmgren,
Ooh,
transition.
Giddey with that. Hey.
Butler. Inside pass, nicely done.
Yeah. See, that's the part where your weight is going to help you, because now when he gets bumped, good block there, but when he's able to get that regather, if they show it, he's so thin that he just gets hit and folds.
His timing is so good of knowing when to ride the player's body. And
Get it to Giddey, yeah, there we go.
Dice Utah's defense. Butler rises up. Holmgren pulls it down.
Open up, open up.
This is what we talked about. He'll grab and go off of a rebound with those guard skills.
Giddey pumps up a 3.
Bro, that's a trash release, though. Oh my God, but it went in. I give it to you, kids.
Welcome to Utah's, and we're rooting for you. You know, our fan base is incredible, and
Woo, Taco, bro.
The ball in his hands
I'm
on
glad
a
to
small
see him.
player. So
Help
it's
him, help him,
difficult to
help him.
figure
He
out.
needs help.
So they double him.
That's why you got to get rid of it. You ain't the point guard, bro.
First,
Holmgren came over.
Get rid of it so you can get it back.
Let's see if they show. No, they don't show it here, but he obviously fouls to kind of stop the play.
Yeah.
And that he's got to keep getting
Because his
stronger.
body was
Even if
breaking
they're
out of the
playing
cylinder,
clubs
that's
that
why they
I
gave
know I
that.
need to add some weight, but I'm not just going to add any weight. It has to be the right weight for my body. Said I'm very aware of my motion change.
Move away
and I
from
don't
the
wanna
ball,
do
yeah.
anything to slow that down or make my
Lucky foul, getting into lucky spot, getting into that right position to be able to receive the ball back.
Just wait.
Yeah, on average, just 9 minutes a game, so it was really kind of in that no man's
See, that's
land,
exactly
right?
what
The
I'm
Jazz
talking
lead
about.
Different situations,
Get
just
rid
like
of the
one.
ball, give it to the point guard so
Was
you
in
can
on-
get it
on
back.
that on it. But just shows the versatility of that shot off. But
23 points.
Palmer takes a hit. Holmgren met him.
right here, going baseline, knows his shot blocker's coming. Keep going. Make the contact.
They're going to pick up.
That is going to be one of the things that he has to read and react to a little bit differently, not jumping for everything. But, hey, scouting report. Scouting report. My apologies. Thank you so much for the video. Absolutely fire. Okay guys, as always, at the end of the video, I go through and break down the highlights that we saw. All right, let's get into it. The first thing that I'm going to call out is his patience in walling up, or his patience on the defensive end. Now, we did start to see a little bit of a lapse on that in the later part of the reaction, but you can actually see that he was able to keep his cylindrical form by staying really, really still. Like I said before, this man is 7 foot tall. He's playing in the center position or as a power forward primarily, and so he's going to have to be in shot blocking positions. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make is being too ambitious to block the ball. Being able to make the shot difficult is way more beneficial. Now, obviously, in some of those instances, you're gonna need to jump and you're gonna need to contest and block a shot, but you need to try and do it in as straight of a form as possible. You need to literally be sitting in that cylindrical form. If you want to know more information about the cylindrical form that I keep referring to, make sure you go ahead and check out my reaction to Marcus Smart. I cover it in great detail in that video. When you're noticing that he's primarily under the basket, and this is even against Taco Fall, he's literally just got one hand out, shielding his body, and he's literally got the other hand going straight up, contesting and shadowing the ball. It's really, really good fundamental defense, but he's not jumping at the bit. He's not, kind of jump with everything. He's literally staying up. I did mention throughout the reaction that him being so thin, especially in his hips and in his waist, makes it a little bit more difficult for him to be able to take some of this contact, and his length is recovering for that. And you do actually hear in the video the commentators talk about him making comment to his weight and that he wants to put on the right kind of weight and wants to put on strength. Whilst I absolutely do believe that him putting on some weight is going to be beneficial to him, it's not going to be the be-all and end-all. A perfect example of that is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is about the same size, about the same frame, and he's been able to be an absolute asset to any team that he's played on purely because of his playing style. He's a shooter, he creates off of the dribble, a lot of the things that we saw Chet being able to do, but in being able to have a little bit more body, that's the difference in being able to allow you to play a little bit closer to someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Can you imagine being 7 foot tall, having a frame like Giannis Antetokounmpo, but still being able to handle the rock and dribble and shoot off the dribble like your KD? Bro, this man will be unstoppable. Unstoppable. But he's got the body of a coat hanger. Like, he's really, really thin. So when he fixes that situation and fills out a little bit more, I definitely think it's going to be much more advantageous to him. But the patience in warming up was absolutely key in order for him to have a lot of success in the highlights that we saw. The next thing that I want to comment to is his handle. He's got a nice handle. I do think that there's, a couple of times where he was over dribbling, and I'm going to comment on that a little bit later, but his ability to create off of the dribble and link into his shot was really, really good. But it's going to be a bit of a mismatch situation because of the fact that now defenders have to react to that. So either A, you put a mismatch in having a smaller player defend him, so someone who's playing the 3 preferably, or maybe even the 4, a fast 4, so small forward or a power forward, playing against him to be able to keep with that movement, but has to be long enough or able to deal with the length that he has because he's as tall as a center. It's going to be really interesting to see how that works, but the handle, it allows him to create a lot of space and lets him get into the shot. The shot is the next thing that I'm going to talk about. His jump shot was really, really good. If you actually look, most of the shots that he was taking was literally at the top of the key, was at the top of the 3. Now, I did mention that he's going to be a popper. What do I mean by that? A lot of the time in the NBA, you're seeing plays work off of pick and roll actions. A pick and roll is literally where a screen and then there is a player coming over the top. Generally, it's the guy who has the ball is coming over the top of that screen. And then there's a defense realignment. That's essentially what they're trying to achieve. They're either A, trying to rub the defender off so that the defender sits back behind and they can go downhill or go to the bucket or get to wherever they want to get to, or they literally can create a mismatch situation for the big to be able to roll where they go towards the basket, or seal where they take the defender with them all the way down to the basket and get a mismatch. Or you have what's called popping. Popping is literally where after the screen, the defender doesn't go down, he literally stays where he is or pops out to get a long range shot. We're seeing a lot more with the popularity in the pick and roll game where guys are screening with the purpose of not rolling but sticking to the top to create shooting opportunities for yourself, or being able to then move the ball again, or whatever the case is based in the moment at the time. But with someone who is Chet size, being 7 foot tall, we could see that defenders weren't knowing what to do. And a perfect example of that is Taco. Taco's not expecting someone to stand out there and take the shot. Even though he probably had a scouting report on this man, I'm sure he probably watched a couple of his games, or at least knew who he was being drafted so high. He knew that this man's going to shoot. But in saying that, he's just able to get that daylight, and he's such a competent shooter that he's able to read the space, recognize it, and then take the right shot for him. Now, he was hyper effective, but I did find that that is going to be something that he was consistently going to. So depending on who's defending him, that might not be as much of an advantage, and it's going to basically have to make him put it onto the floor. One of the interesting things is that if he does put it onto the floor, as I mentioned in my previous call out, this man's got a handle. So if he develops that handle a little bit more, develops a little bit more to create his shot out of his handle, or his passing ability, which I do think is probably one of the bigger weak points that I noticed from him, it's going to be really, really troublesome to stay in front of this dude. Like, this guy's gonna be a real problem. The last thing that I'm going to comment on is not a good one. It's the ball hog mentality. As a coach and as a player, if I was to say one of the things that I absolutely hate with all of my being, it's the ability to give someone the ball or for someone to receive the ball and have absolutely no intention of removing it from their hands without it being a jump shot. I'm a big advocate for things like opening up the floor and moving the ball around. And I do think that someone of his size, if he's got a nice handle, yeah, he does. He's able to create off of the shot in the half court. Now, should he be collecting the ball and trying to dribble it up from a full court transition? No, I don't believe so. The reason why is because he's got one of the most prominent and pass-friendly point guards on his team, Josh Giddey, who, if you did not see my reaction to this man, please make sure you go ahead and give it a watch. But you don't need to be dribbling. I think that you can dribble, and there's a time where you should be able to dribble and create off of the dribble. But if I'm a defender, if I'm a 6'1" defender, and I see you a 7-footer, and you're taking the ball and you're trying to go down, my job as a defender is immediately to try and slow that transition. So thinking on the mismatch that's behind me, if I'm small and you're big, then there's my big and you're small down there. So I know that that position is pretty much covered. Now, you are so tall that the amount of time that it takes for you to bounce the ball and for the ball to hit the ground and then come back up to your hand is a lot longer than the time it takes me, 6 foot or 6'1", depending on what the weather's like or how big my shoes are, how long is it going to take for that ball to come back to my hand? It's going to be a lot less. Now, I will pick you apart. I'm going to test your handle. I'm going to make you really uncomfortable. And we saw that the defenders picked up on that and they crowded him and trapped him in the corners. Now, why am I calling this out? Because if you want to win at the game of basketball, I believe that it's all about possessions and opportunity. Trying to create as many opportunities and trying to retain or make the most out of as many possessions that you have. Now, if you keep turning the ball over, you're not retaining the ball. You're not helping your team. In fact, you're going to start to create a little bit of friction or abrasion against your team because they're going to see that the ball's going to you and it's not leaving your hands. And I would believe that it would be better for me, if I was Josh Giddey as a point guard, to take the ball from your hands and let you get down there so that I can give it back to you, because I know that you're an effective shooter. I know that there is a mismatch with the big. I know that they're not going to be able to stop you getting in front. But I also know that there is a greater chance in possibility that a defender is going to strip the ball from you if you're transitioning the ball. So you definitely would need to see an improvement in that to minimize that being a real big problem going into the season. So for all you guys out there, move the ball. The ball doesn't have to stay in your hands for you to be effective. You know, the ball's only in your hands at one moment in time, and it's not in the hands of 4 other people. But if we can move cohesively and move collectively as a unit to be able to create the best shot or the best opportunity, then we're going to win. You can have a 30-point game, but if no one else is able to touch the ball, well, it's going to be a blowout. Literally, it's not going to work in your favor. So I definitely think that that's a big thing that would need to improve. I did mention at the beginning of the video that I did focus a lot about other players coming through into the NBA as draft prospects that were not going through the NCAA. And there was a reason for that. I do believe that a lot of the time going through the NCAA, that there's a lot of eyes and attention that goes to these players, and it's not always most deserving. Now, does that comment mean that I believe Paolo or Chet shouldn't be getting the level of eyes and attention that they got? Absolutely not. I do believe that they should be getting the amount of attention that they got. But do I think that someone with their skill set could come from playing in a professional league outside of America, outside of a collegiate level of competition? Absolutely. Do I think that the level of professionalism that you will obtain, or the level of opportunity in developing and understanding the game, is going to be far better in a professional league where they're not going to coddle you, but they're going to challenge you? Absolutely. I do think that's the case. And that's the reason why I focused a lot on other players outside. This is the reason why I did reactions to guys like Kai Sotto, because Kai Sotto is an absolutely amazing player. In fact, he's got a very, very similar skill set to Chet Holmgren, which is the reason why I'm absolutely baffled that this guy didn't get drafted. But in saying that, there's reasons why when teams see these things, and it's all about prospects. When you see his handle in comparison to Kai's, his handle's a lot better than Kai's. He has the same length. Kai was able to slip into space, but that's also something that you could teach to Chet, that Chet's probably not doing as well. He's also got a much deadlier shot outside that can stretch the floor, create a lot more mismatches. That's something that's a little bit more advantageous. Does that mean that Kai Sotto should have been drafted? In my mind, absolutely. So, if you don't believe me or you want to see my reaction on this man, go ahead and check out either one of the reactions that I did on him. The most recent one is a highlight of his complete season, and I think it's probably a truer rendition of his available skill set, so I'll leave that one in the description. Overall, I want to just part ways with this topic because I've kind of spoken about it a little bit. But the NCAA isn't the be-all and end-all of development in the way of transitioning into being a professional player. I do think that when we look at guys like Dyson Daniels, who went through the G League route, it's an avenue that you can take. Some of the other players that I've mentioned already that have gone through those routes. Nikola Jovic is another person who's done that and been an absolute asset and been able to develop his skill set. You don't need to come through the NCAA. It is all about reading and developing the skill sets that you have and the skill sets that you need in being able to be an asset. So, do I think that this man's an asset? Absolutely. Do I think that he has some opportunity for growth? Absolutely. It's going to be really, really exciting to see what the OKC looks like going into this new season because, man, Josh Giddey, absolute fire player, and I do think that his and Chet's game is going to work really cohesively. There's obviously a number of other players that are really, really good on that team, but those two guys are probably the most exciting players to me for me to be able to see how they work cohesively together. But look, in saying that, if you're enjoying the content that your boy's putting out, consider liking and subscribing. It absolutely does help, and you can stay connected with your boy in order to get all those breakdowns and all that content that your boy's putting out. And until next time, make sure you're looking after yourself, you take care, and be safe. All right, peace.